We are Onyx Imaging. We are the highest rated and most reviewed printer service center in Oklahoma.
Hi, my name is John with Onyx Imaging. Today we're going to take a look at this HP Officejet Pro 8028, and what we're actually going to do is do an unboxing and show you how to do the initial setup for the printer. That way you can get it up and running and hopefully not have any problems. So the first thing we're going to do is go and take the printer out of the box. So let's go and cut the tape. And then inside the box you do get a starter set of ink, some basic instructions. Just set all this off to the side here. And then the easiest way to get these printers out of the box is we're going to turn the box and lay it on its side. And then inside there's actually a set of handles. Just going to reach in and grab those handles. They're easy to find. They're outlined in blue. And you're just going to pull the printer out of the box. There we go. Nice and carefully. Set the box off to the side here. You can see they also sent you a power cable. I'm going to set that off to the side. Now we can unpack the styrofoam. And finally take the printer out of its bag. And then before you start plugging anything in, what I would do is go around the printer and look for any kind of packing material that might be on the printer. So that includes all this tape that's holding everything closed. Remove all of that. There's also going to be, if I can get the stay off my finger, there we go. If you open up the scanner, you'll see a big piece of foam, and that's there to protect the scanner glass during shipping. So we can go ahead and take that out. And then usually I'll check and make sure there's nothing stored in any of the little doors, so I can open everything up. Double check. Inside the paper tray you can find a little piece of cardboard with some tape on it, so we'll get that taken out. And then while we're here, make sure that the paper tray is actually set for whatever size paper you're going to be using. In our case we're going to just put 8.5 by 11 or standard letter paper in there. So let's make sure everything is set for 8.5 by 11. Once everything looks good, I'm going to close that up. You're going to just kind of give a good look over, make sure everything looks right. Once you're happy with the way everything looks, then when everything looks good so far, then we can go ahead and plug it in and start the initialization cycle. Now, the first thing it's going to ask us on the printer is what language that we want it in. So in our case, we're going to have English. Go ahead and hit the English button, confirm. Then it's going to ask us the country of origin, wherever you're from, or wherever the printer is being used actually. So go ahead and put, in our case, USA, confirm. And now it's telling us to install our cartridges. So to install the cartridges, you're going to lift down on this front door here, and you'll see a big handle. Lift up on the handle, and give the printer a second to bring the printer carriage to you. And then inside you'll see this big piece of plastic. You need to remove that piece of plastic inside, and that's again inside the print head. And then before you install all the ink, you need to remove this little orange base. That's keeping all the ink inside of the cartridge so it doesn't leak anywhere. So you're just going to take it and spin it off, and then we can install all of our cartridges. And they're very simple to install. You just slide them in until they click into place. Last one. Alright, they're all into place, so we can go ahead and lower the top of the printer, close that front door back up. And now what's going to happen is the printer is going to take a few minutes, and it's going to initialize the ink system. So it's got to pull a lot of the ink through all the lines and make sure everything's ready. So sometimes that can take a few minutes. While it's doing that, it's going to ask us to go ahead and install some paper in the printer. So again, we'll open up our paper tray. And then right over here I have some paper for it already. So go and put some paper in. Close the drawer back up. So now it tells you that it's initializing the system. So it's making sure that everything's ready to go and making sure that the print head's ready to use. Again, this can take a few minutes, so we'll be back when it's ready. Alright, so now the printer finished initializing the print head. So now what it wants to do is align the print head. So it's going to ask you if that's okay. You're going to hit continue and tell it to go ahead and align the print head. And this is just going to make sure that your printer, all the colors and everything are synced up properly and it's printing nice straight lines and you're not getting a blurry image. So again, sometimes this can take a minute or two, but it's going to make a huge quality difference as far as the look of your prints. So give it a couple minutes and we're just about done with the setup of the printer and we'll have you up and running. Alright, see, it doesn't take too long for it to come out. Okay, so now I've finished printing the alignment page. So what it's going to ask you to do is actually turn the paper upside down and put it on your scanner. So we're going to lift up the scanner and it's going to tell you to put it in the top left corner of your scanner bed where the little white marking is, telling you that's where you should butt the corner up against. And you're going to close the top and now you're going to hit the scan button. So now the printer is actually scanning that alignment page that we just did, and it's confirming that all the colors are exactly where it wants them to be, and it'll let you know if everything came out good or if it needs to be repeated. 9 times out of 10, it's going to tell you that everything is good and continue on with getting the printer set up. So again, it's a fairly quick process. There's a little bit of waiting involved with pretty much all of these ink machines, but it's a really simple process. The screen pretty much walks you through what to do, and we'll get you taken care of. Alright, so I finished scanning the alignment page and it says alignment successful. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. It's going to ask you if you want to scan a QR code. We're not worried about that right now. And you can just hit the question mark to bypass that. It's going to ask if you want to set up the network. In our case, I'm not worried about that right now, so I'll just hit the back button. Connect later. It's going to ask us if you want to set up instant ink. And then you can finish the setup process. One thing I like to check after I finally get to the ready screen is if you take your finger at the top of the menu here and swipe down, it'll bring up kind of the settings page. And to get to the actual settings menu, it's going to be in the top left hand corner. You'll see a little gear icon. Go ahead and tap that. And the first thing I'll check is if I scroll all the way down, you'll have an option for printer maintenance. So once I get into printer maintenance, I'll again scroll down and there's an option that says update the printer. And then where it says printer update options, I'll click that. And most of the time, I recommend turning the printer to do not check. The reason being is there's sometimes when you get firmware updates, automatic firmware updates, that actually causes more problems with the printer than it actually fixes. So unless you're having problems, I don't really recommend updating the firmware. I'm just going to leave it alone. And again, the less you mess with it, the less chance you have of anything getting messed up. So usually I just recommend putting it on do not check. Again, so do not check. Make sure it's actually off. The wording on the question is kind of tricky sometimes. And then I'll back out of it. You can back all the way back to the setup page. And I'm going to hit on the reports tab. And I like to print a printer status report. Anytime I set up a new printer, it's just kind of a good way to so I can get make initial set on where everything's at inside the printer. It gives me a lot of information about the printer just to kind of have on hand. Especially with the new printer, it has the number ink cartridge that you're using. It tells you a lot of information about your ink cartridges. It reminds you of your printer model, serial number, all that information. And it's just kind of a nice thing to have on hand, so again, you have that little reminder of what's all going on. And it's a good test page. You can make sure you're happy with the way everything looks. and you approve of it. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to give Onyx a call.
Thank you for watching. If you're interested in how you can receive free labor on all of your service calls, as well as how to qualify for free printer upgrades, contact us today. We are here for all of your printer and office supply needs.